Okay, so I'm here to do a video for my peoples who was just recently struggling a bit with a Pisces male. Okay, so what I'm going to do is what the person wants to know is, what the female, the Libra female wants to know is there anything that she should look out for with her sign being on a cusp, which is she's a Libra with a Virgo cusp. Right here, you have a chart that basically conveys what I'm saying to you in a visual format. So here you see Libra, right? That's the sun sign. So that blue line right there, right after the Virgo placement, is the time and place that this woman was born. Okay, so that yellow circle pertains to the sun. That's their sun sign, a Libra. But you see how close it is to the line of Virgo, meaning it just left Virgo and she just made it to be a Libra. Okay, so what this means is you're like a baby Libra, right? And you will always, for the most part, be a baby Libra. And that is not a terrible thing, because at the same time, you are more of a Libra than probably most Libras. And I'm going to tell you why. Because of your decadence. The first 10 degrees of a sign actually applies to that actual sign. And then the second 10 degrees applies to another sign that is not the sun sign. And then the third 10 degrees applies to another sign that is not the sun sign. It may sound a bit confusing. However, I will do another video and post that up for, just for people to better understand what I just said. This is what I want you to do. I want you to look at this as a dream. Okay, now in this dream, I want you to imagine that you are a Virgo and you are behaving like a Virgo. All the traits and characteristics that a Virgo carries and expresses, you are using these traits dominantly in your dream. Okay, the dream is lasting pretty long, to the point where you remember what you're actually doing in the dream. Okay, and then you wake up. When you wake up, now all of a sudden you're a Libra. So what happens with this is, and this is for every sign that has a planet that is just leaving the previous sign, you still drag and carry some of those characteristics with you into the next sign. So what happens with this Libra is she's dragging some strong placements. And the reason why I say strong, or characteristics, pardon me, strong characteristics to this Libra sign is because it's at the end of Virgo. So when a planet is placed in the highest degrees, as I said before, they have more of a prominent position, as in contrast to the planets who have the lower positions. All right, so these are strong Virgo traits that you're bringing into this Libra placement. So what happens is, you already know Libra has a mouth, right? What happens is this becomes amplified because Virgos are sarcastic. And not only are they sarcastic, like sometimes, no, all right. A Pisces is more sarcastic than a Virgo is. However, but sometimes people could think that a Virgo is being sarcastic when they're not. They're not playing. They're serious. What they say, though, is so sharp, and it's like so unedited, and it's so clean and calculating that it can cut deep. Okay, so you got to look at this in a relationship aspect now and figure out, okay, well, why am I speaking to this Pisces man like this? And I'm going to tell you exactly why it is, right? Because you look at a Libra and you say, okay, a Libra, ideally, they're looking for partnership. They are looking for dependency. And don't look at this too negatively just yet when I'm saying dependency, right? Because they favor relationships, period. Whether they're going to depend on a partner or whether they're in a work environment. Relationship and partnering up is their thing. Right, so you may look at this Libra and say, well, what are you doing? Why are you talking to this man like this? And this is how you can attest that some of these Virgo traits are coming with you, because a Virgo is analytical and a lot of the times approaches things like it's their job. So it may be the possibility that this Virgo woman is looking at her partner, or Libra woman, pardon me, with these Virgo traits still, is looking at their partner like their work. So they're studying it, they're analyzing him. And that Libra part of her is actually looking at him as a partner at the same time. Okay, so straight from the Virgo's mouth, right? This is unrealistic anyway, right? And I tell this to some Virgos who ask for my assistance or my insight or whatever the case may be. And I tell them, look, when you're looking for a partner, sometimes you're looking for something that's idealistic. You know, it's so idealistic to you that it's unrealistic, okay? Because you're looking for perfection. And you know, that's why sometimes, well, a lot of the times, I often see Virgos who settle for less than what I believe that they're capable of attaining in a partner or whatever the case may be, right? And it's probably because of that. Like, they get it after a while, like, you know what, Mr. Perfect just does not exist. In a Virgo's mind, like, you gotta be like God, right? So this is why the Libra woman begins talking to Pisces man like this. Now, a Pisces man in this situation is probably going to assess it and be like, they may be cut, they may be hurt deeply by it, right? But then they'll check themselves first and be like, you know what, am I doing too much for this Libra? You know what I'm saying? Because a Pisces, no one's gonna love you like a Pisces, you know what I mean? And so a Pisces that loves so deeply is gonna step back and think to themselves, well, maybe I'm doing this wrong, because Pisces also have self-doubt. They're not always 100% sure. That's why they have to test the waters, right? So a Pisces man is going to look at this and say, they may say, like, listen, I need a break. You know what I mean? I need to think about this for a minute. You know what I mean? And what they're doing when they say that is they're giving you rope. They may say it calmly and everything and not really express what they really want to say to you. And that's probably in their best interest. But, you know, a Libra woman could be like, what are you talking about? Like, no, who does that? You know what I mean? Like, we're in a relationship. That's not what you do. Like, you talk about what we're talking about this right now, like it's me and you know what I mean? Like, who does that? And then Pisces is just gonna like stick to their guns and be like, well, let me just think about it. Because what a Pisces is doing is giving you rope, and they're assessing whether you are basing what they're going through on him or if you're basing it on yourself. And 9 times out of 10, when you're not basing the critique on yourself, a Pisces man is going to pick up on that and be like, well, you know what? This is a problem of her own. It's really not me. You know what I mean? It's just something that she's going through. She has this perception of what I'm supposed to be. And this is what happens with Libra carrying these Virgo traits, is that they have a perception of what they think that person is supposed to be to them, instead of understanding that that's who they are. You know what I mean? Okay, so now, like I said, you got to look at it. You got to ask yourself, are you looking at your partner as a work study? And if you are, now I'm going to bring some attention to the Pisces man, right? Pisces man needs to understand this about a Libra who has this placement so close to Virgo, right? Because if this is the case, then a Virgo is going to work autonomously. And this is, maybe people don't know this about Virgos, but they will rather not be micromanaged, because if you tell them how to do something, they're going to pick it up quick. And they're going to be able to do it on their own, the whole workload. You know what I mean? So they really don't need the whole hovering over them thing going on. So even in a relationship like this may carry on to looking at partnership as work. So they need to be autonomous in that aspect. And see, this is where the clash comes, because a Pisces wants to merge. Okay, so now, Libra woman, if you don't know this about a Pisces, you should know this. A Pisces does want to merge. Like, they get off of merging with their partners, right? So if you're not able to balance that autonomy into merging with him, you're going to clash all the time. It's just not, it's going to be like this, right? And Pisces male, if you don't understand that placement, because once you do, you'll understand that, oh, okay, well, let me see how well she does on her own, and then I'll know how to better associate herself with the things that I do. You know what I mean? And then you can actually express it and tell her those things as well. And then maybe, just maybe, y'all can click. A lot of the times it doesn't happen that way because of the I would say, the lack of knowledge on placements. And I stress this often when I talk about signs, because in relationships, because a lot of the times people don't know each other's charts, right? So you want to know these things. Okay, so now I'm going to give you a surface key tip of what these two need to do, or what these two could do when they attempt to get in a relationship. Stay surface with each other. You need to emphasize the best traits of each other when you're in your elements. And what I mean by that is the flirty nature that you guys have, right? Use that. use that. You see, because this is what can happen, right? A Pisces becomes delusional when they start figuring out that the Libra actually digs them to the point of being in a relationship. However, what they fail to realize is that's that Neptune energy. It's an illusion. Listen, I don't know no women who are Libras who are married. And you're like, I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, right? Because this is the actual sign who, next to Cancer, it really just wants to be married. Like, this is the goal, right? I don't know any. And then when you look at a Libra, when you view a Libra, it's like the way they get along with people, it's admirable. So you can smile at watching them interact with other people. So what you need to do is become one of those people. And 9 times out of 10, your relationship begins that way, right or wrong. You are corresponding with each other like y'all pals, buddy. But see, what happens is, and I know that what happens is the Libra gets sucked into the dreamy, mysterious part that actually lingers in the back of Pisces' mind while he's floating around and still having that conversation with her. She's drawn into that. She wants to know more about that, and the way to figure that out is to get closer to him. And then he falls in love with the conversation that she has, because she gets him more than other people usually do when he starts leaking bits of information about his mystery, right? This is where the delusion comes in. This is where the illusion comes in of you guys being an item. What you need to do is stick to being friends. Stick to being in that element, that raw element, that when people out there are looking at you guys and observing you guys, they may be like, hey, you know what? I think they're together. Like, look how they, look how they talk to each other. Look how they look at each other. Like, that's the element you should remain in, because you're going to look, once it gets to the point where you guys are an item and it's known, all of the other stuff leaves. It leaves. And then you get to go back to admiring, watching the Libra woman interact with all of her friends. And now you have to compete with them. And you won't ever win. You won't ever win competing with, I'm talking about from the dog to her Aunt May to her grandpa. You won't ever win. You won't. So now you're going to put yourself in a box that you wasn't supposed to be in to begin with. You know what I mean? And trust me when I tell you, the Libra is going to be all right going back and forth, doing her little quarrels with you on why you didn't have the proper etiquette at this event and things like that. She'll stick it out for as long as she possibly can, until Pisces energy is drained all up from believing that he is actually married material or whatever the case may be. You just ruined your own relationship. You stepped on your own feet. Okay? But this is, to focus more back on the Libra woman, doing what she does with the Virgo traits and everything. And this is another thing with carrying those Virgo traits. There's going to be instances of infidelity. Like, Virgos are prone to high infidelity. And I know Virgos are probably going to be upset with me about this. Maybe, maybe not. You know what I mean? And it could be just a phase. You see, this is what you got to understand about Virgo women. They are, they love to give service. You know what I'm saying? So you can be the husband of a Virgo woman, for example, and she will go drop off a plate of food to another guy and will talk to it about associates of hers that may even know you. And you may sit there like, what? Just what? No. But yeah, you know what I mean? So I say that to say this, right? Now look at it as, like I said before, the signs run into each other. So if you're dealing with a Virgo woman that's morphed into a Libra woman, it's early in the Libra stage, right? It's a Libra woman, but she's carrying these Virgo traits, right? You should be looking at her as the woman who serviced her partnerships, her close relationships to the best of her ability, because I'm telling you, look at her as someone who knows how to cater to another's needs. She has done that in her last stage, okay? And lastly, you should make the connection and make sure that you understand what a relationship is. For the most part, a relationship means that you're having relations with someone, with each other, all right? People get it misconstrued and turn it into that, you're married or something. Marriage is legal, all right? Documented documents stating that you two are together, there's finance changes involved in the economy and everything. Much bigger deal than what a relationship is. Okay, so keep this in mind. You don't have to take it so serious. Okay, and with that being said, that is the close of this video.